everybody, and welcome to Nerdsplaining Podcast. I'm your host, Eric Da Silva. With me, as always, is my co-host, Jose Romero.
Happy Geek Day, everybody. How's everyone doing? Eric, what's going on?
I am doing fantastic in This Week in Geek, specifically because many reasons. Guardians is finally out in the public. Haven't seen it yet. I know you have. If you saw the last episode, we had a whole spoiler-free. Next week's episode, we'll get down and dirty with all the specifics. Also, free comic book day this weekend, guys. So go to your local comic book store, pick up a comic, pick up something if you've never read a comic, randomly pick stuff up. If you know things you like, get those. See if you can get one for a friend and pass it on. And it's a wonderful way of the nerds to give back. And I hope everyone's enjoying their week and all the stuff we're going to talk about.
If you're a thief, technically every weekend's a free comic.
That is very true. That is 5-finger discount comic book day. It's every day.
Discount. I love when things go on sale like that.
By the way, you could totally tell we're from Miami because our entire mentality is you slip, I grip. That is exactly how and it's horrible. This is why society needs to change for the better, guys.
I'm not proud of it, but it is what it is, man. You know, sometimes you're a product of your environment, as they say. So, just saying, dude.
Sometimes you're a product, and sometimes you're the problem.
Can't argue with that. Not a big week. We want to do like a very shorter show today. A lot of stuff has been going on over the past week, but we wanted to get on you guys, share some of the nuggets of the week. No Guardians. So somebody talk Guardians. I was really hoping you would have seen it by now, but that's okay.
Listen, my schedule's been crazy bananas. So, but this weekend, I'm literally, as soon as we finish recording, I'm going to go watch it. So but I wanted to get this in the can because there's a lot of this stuff happening, but we will talk about it next week. I promise.
Yeah, I want to get your thoughts on how Star-Lord died. I mean, let's take that back. Hello.
I would only accept Star-Lord's death if he's eaten by dinosaurs. No more, no less.
Don't count that out. I'm just saying. I don't know.
By the way, Bowser counts as a dinosaur. That's all I'm saying.
Does he?
Yeah, he's a giant turtle dragon that doesn't exist. That's a dinosaur.
I'll let it slide. I'll accept it. Actually, forget.
But I did see Mario, by the way. Finally, that was great.
Oh,
that was
cool,
super
right?
fun.
Yeah, it's very fun movie.
Super fun.
Yeah.
Super fun.
I mean,
not the greatest movie.
No.
Even my daughter was like, "Dad, this movie's going a little fast." I'm like, "It's better if you don't think about why it's going so fast. Just go for the ride. Go.
Don't even worry about that. Actually, I do have. I just thought of this since we got a little extra time, because I was thinking about. I had a quick conversation more towards sports and talking about the Mt Rushmore of sports athletes or whatever the case is, and we got into the Mt Rushmore of geek, personalities or whatever, and where the geekdom, who would be in the Mt Rushmore, right? The four heads. And I got three. I could not get the fourth. I wasn't, thinking straight. I figured you probably have more insight on this. So I'm with the three that I had. Feel free to change what I had this for and add the fourth, right? So we had George Lucas. I had George Lucas. I think he's a
clearly.
I don't think that's
clearly
right. Clearly,
very few people have had as much cultural impact.
Exactly, right? So he has to be on there, and his product is still, the quality-wise not there.
Good or bad,
it's still zeitgeist, right? Obviously,
absolutely.
It's still there. I had Kevin Feige on there.
Kevin Feige, yeah.
I think his impact on film, bringing that geek culture to the
masses. Yeah, you know
big.
what?
I mean, I used an argument that
Feige and Stan Lee are almost interchangeable.
Well, I did have Stan Lee as my third.
Oh, okay. So he was the source material, and he was the guy who generated it for a bigger audience.
Right, brought it to the regular, to the masses, to the casual fan. And so,
absolutely.
But I couldn't think of a fourth. I mean, I had names I can throw out there.
Who's
the fourth?
Walt Disney.
Who?
Walt Disney.
As far as geek,
I mean, are we all pigeonholing everything into one thing? Absolutely. But Disney, major cultural impact in nerddom in terms of like fairy tales, where essentially are science fiction, or fiction, and then they bought Marvel, but Marvel's already creating these Paramounts of modern comic books that even if Disney never bought them, Stan Lee was still going to be one of those dudes who created the bulk of what people's reference of a superhero is. And then you had Feige's, like anything Feige would have done, whether DC or Marvel, he would have brought the appeal of nerddom over. Now, if you don't want to pigeonhole everything into Disney, we pull Walt out, and now we have to think of another option. I would go, in terms of artistic value, I would say Jack Kirby. The artist who designed the Avengers, who designed the Fantastic Four, the Hulk, he didn't do Spider-Man, that was Steve Ditko, or Doctor Strange, that was Steve Ditko as well. But a lot of the Marvel characters, he designed the Eternals, and he also designed the new gods for DC. So we're talking Darkseid,
Okay.
Orion,
That's
Big Barda.
I can get with
Like
that.
if we're gonna go cultural, like in terms of showing people what characters could look like in a very wide, like think of it this way: Jack Kirby and Stan Lee did 100 issues of Fantastic Four. That's where Black Panther came from. That's where the Inhumans came from. All designs very original, very unique. He created that. He did the artwork for the Avengers. He showed how you could tell a story. But now, is it all amazing? No. There's a lot of, you know, limits to what art could be at the time. But when he pushed the boundary and did something amazing, Kirby's where, you know, you create this like sort of like breaking past the page kind of feel. And I mean, I would say Kirby. If you want to modern it up, I would say Jim Lee. Now, Jim Lee, it would be interesting because not only did he revitalize what comics could be in terms of like the design, like when you think comic book artists, you could say Todd McFarlane, you can say Brian Hitch, but there's something about Jim Lee's art that combines sort of the crisp cleanness of people like George Perez, John Byrne, Jim Aparo, but elevated it to this dynamic, almost superstar quality. It's like listen, the difference between listening to a cover band and the real band. Like there's something just really like he took all the stuff that he was inspired from and just elevated to an extent where Jim Lee is like synonymous with like Batman and X-Men. He had nothing to do with their designs. He just made them look like the best version possible. And now he's still one of the heads of DC Entertainment. So he's actively pushing for a lot of the stuff that's happening in the comics that also carried over to like stuff that maybe James Gunn's taking over as well. So I think Kirby would be sort of like a given, but if you wanted to like mass market appeal now, I would push for Jim Lee.
That's a good choice.
He also created Wildstorm, which led to the Authority, which led to Wildcats, which was a limited cartoon series. So he had a lot of cultural impact. But if we're not going to do Disney, which to me would be the most obvious in terms of like one sole creator having a massive effect on everything. If you already got Lucas, you do Stan Lee and Feige, I would do either Kirby or Jim Lee as your fourth.
Okay, that's a good. I still couldn't think of, but those are good choices.
Yeah.
Actors, real quick, since we're on the subject, man, I didn't even think about this one too much, but like 4 actors in a geekdom that would be in a Mount Rushmore. Harrison Ford, obviously.
Harrison Ford and Robert Downey Jr. Because if you look at Robert's work from before, like think of it into like he was in Saturday Night Live, he was in Weird Science, then he was in Chaplin. And then he had that he fell off because of drugs.
Oh, right.
And then he slowly started building his career. But think about where his dismount is. He dismounted with Endgame after creating Tony Stark and the archetype for what a movie lead man character can be.
He was, I think, the linchpin as far as the MCU.
Michael Keaton would be third.
Whether I started with Iron Man, right? Let's be clear. And his portrayal of him was awesome. So I'm okay with that. I'm fine with that. I can go with him.
Michael Keaton, because he's done Batman, Vulture, Birdman. I mean, that's 3 major.
No, it's big. I don't know. I didn't put a lot of thought.
And he's coming back for Batman, which is the only reason we give a crap about the Flash movie. So you got to give Keaton his due. And he was Beetlejuice. Come on, homie. Mr. Mom.
There's an argument. I'm not ready to say. I'm not chiseling the face on the stone rock, but he's in contention. Stop right there. Patrick Stewart, maybe.
Ooh, Patrick's good because you got Star Trek and X-Men. And he just came back again and was one of the major highlights of Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness.
That's true.
So, I mean,
Picard season 3 was great.
Picard season, but you know, here's the thing.
There's a case for Patrick Stewart. There's a case.
Here's the only reason why I go Keaton over Picard, and it's the bougie artist in me, Birdman. Birdman really elevated what comic book actors could be, are, and how they contextualize themselves.
Like I said, I think he's in the conversation. I don't think I'm ready to name 4 people right now, but this is who's in the conversation. He's in the conversation.
Look, I'm gonna save you the trip. I already given you 3. So you know what do you want from me?
Hugh Jackman.
Hugh
Maybe.
Jackman, no, and
No.
I'll tell you why.
I guess not. He's only the one big one.
It's only Wolverine.
Wolverine. It's a big character. Only Wolverine.
It's a big character,
Hold up.
but if you want to look at you want to look at diversity
I'm just
of
looking at as far as it's
experience.
hard to tell because we have, you know, the impact and obviously longevities. Because I just popped in my head. Speaking of Picard, is William Shatner.
See, Shatner.
There's an argument there. I'm not sure he's. I'm not saying he's on
there's
there.
a stronger
There's an
argument for
argument
Shatner
there.
than Picard, than the guy who plays Picard. I forgot his name right now.
Patrick Stewart. Yeah.
Patrick Stewart, only because of once again the diversity of like T.J. Hooker, dude.
Well,
Captain Kirk.
Just talking about just geek impact because he is. Shatner's like he's a legend, right? He is right amongst the geek world. He's still known. He's in space. A few months ago. It's the original Captain Kirk. He's in a conversation as far as geek Mt Rushmore acting. I think he has to be on there.
And to be fair, let's be honest. There was a long contention. When you were a geek in the 80s and 90s, when it was the dark times, where you had to speak in hushed tones, so you could still meet a girl, or else it was horrible for you.
Keep in the closet, if you will. Yeah.
There was a huge battle of who was cooler, Han Solo or Kirk. Remember that? It was always, and the joke was
fair argument.
And to me, the defining factor of the joke was Picard goes into an asteroid field at quarter impulse power, and Han Solo goes engines roaring. Let's do it. We got to get rid of these guys. Swoosh, and that's exactly the difference between the two. But to have Harrison Ford there.
You have to have Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford's on
Shatner, that equal spot.
I think Harrison Ford's the only one we've named who's definitively on that Mount Rushmore.
I say Harrison Ford and Robert Downey are the two definitive.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. No, definitely. The only name that I had a name, I just totally lost it. Damn, what is it? Oh, Mark Hamill. With the only one, just real quick, just popped in my head. Maybe.
You know what?
I don't know.
Hamill.
Maybe.
I'll tell you why Hamill's a definite.
He's a contender.
He's a definite contender. It's because it's not just Luke; it's the Joker.
The Joker, exactly. Yeah.
And you want to talk about the Joker, about the animated series, all the video games, all the animated, animated movies.
If you're a geek, you know Mark Hamill. Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, and no one gives him credit for being in, even though times were lean and you can take the work you can get. He was in the live-action Guyver movie, which is based off the anime, and that was horrible, but his transformation into a monster, still one of the coolest practical effects on a low-budget movie I've ever seen.
And he's still relevant today. People know
still relevant. He's playing Bert Kreischer's father in the Machine movie about the joke he tells about he hung out with the Russian mob when he was 20 years old. Yeah, so he's still making stuff.
He's in a conversation. We might have to revisit that one day. Kind of just really think about who to be the four.
I kind of like that.
Do like a Mount Rushmore show and just do not only actors, comic book characters. That's interesting.
Absolutely.
One. That's an interesting one. We'll do that next week.
That would be an interesting one.
Top characters. That's a good argument right there. I don't think.
Yes.
You had 8 different answers. If you asked 8 different people, I think personally. Maybe we'll dive into that. But we're gonna. I guess I just had that conversation. I thought of you because I figured if anybody can, at least on the overall side, you definitely Kirby was a great choice. Even Jim Lee as well. So that makes sense. But yeah, so that's interesting. So yeah, those things can be debated till the cows come home. But that being said, let's stick with the other geek stuff. And there was only one show that came out that was we can touch on. Star Wars Visions. The animated shorts, season 2. I liked last season. It's anthology series. You know how it is. Some good, some bad, some in the middle. It's a kind of a mixed bag. But the animation was always good. Well, he's done one that first season. Sorry, I've only seen 5 so far. Same thing. Animation is very cool. I love the animation styles. Right, you'll stop motion.
I'll tell you what. I'm more impressed on the diversity of animation styles this season. A lot of people taking some really big swings of like what they're known for or what they want to be known for. Sure. That is really impressive. And what I also like as well is that I feel like even the stories themselves have been elevated to the next notch. Like season 1, sometimes they just told the story to go, what would happen if this happened? Like just to do a thing in the story, like a random Star Wars. Like let's not take the continuity, let's not take the parameters. Let's just frame it as Star Wars, but tell a thing. Sure. This is very much like this is a very specific Star Wars story. Everything but we're gonna just slant it this angle, and it means something to the people in this episode. Yeah. And I really enjoy the episode, or I think it was the second episode where the little girl goes to the cave where the ghost is.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah.
Great,
Good
great.
episode.
That could have been told as such a one-off.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. And in the grand scheme of things, that episode doesn't matter. But seeing what you think is a hero's journey be converted to a villain's origin
Excuse me. That was
is
yeah that was a
really
that was a
interesting.
cool story, well done. I like that. The last one I saw was the fifth one, with I forgot the two heads with the dark side and good side. I forgot the name of the
Right.
episode, particular anime style kind of thing. That was a kind of
Yeah.
interesting story, very cool. It's very well done. I think it's a little more cohesive than the first season was, because I think you get
Yeah.
more complete classic 3 arc stories to some degree in
Yes.
this season than last season, right? Which I enjoy.
Yeah.
And look, I love the animation. I love animation. It's
And
cool.
once again, it's more of a
Yeah.
deconstruction of the parameters of Star Wars versus let's just tell a story and dress it like Star
Right,
Wars.
and it's in the
Because
same
some of those
world. Yeah.
episodes in season one was just dressed as Star Wars, but really had nothing to do with Star Wars.
Right.
This is very much like let's take that lore and kind of like 12 degrees it this way
To
and see
expand
what we
on
can
and
get out of it.
introduce things that we will recognize. Yeah, so we're still staying within the framework of Star Wars, that as we know it.
Even something as cool and stupid at the same time. In episode one of the new season, which is all painted,
Yeah.
you see a double lightsaber, but it's a red side and a light side saber, and I was like, that's kind of cool.
That's kind of cool.
It means nothing, like but it's kind of
It's
visually
cool.
cool. It strikes,
Yeah.
and it's fun to see it here when you understand that character's journey, as far as we've gotten it so far. You're like, well, that's kind of cool. I want to see more of that.
Like I said,
And that
and it's very varied. There's a one episode which is okay, but I like the idea of it with the mother and daughter.
Oh
That
yeah,
was a nice
but
episode, right? That was a nice
that's,
episode.
that's what people do, Wallace and Gromit.
Yes,
So
yes.
seeing that style,
Yeah.
I was like,
Very cool.
I hope it's light and silly and sweet
Yeah.
like Wallace and Gromit is, and it was exactly that. So I was like,
it was
that's cool
actually well
because you're
done.
not gonna.
Yeah. I was nice.
I'm not going to get
Sweet.
dark and edgy out of Wallace and Gromit. This is not going to be a moral tale. In Wallace and Gromit. It's going to be fun.
But that's a good. So I said it's a good. Like I said, I haven't seen all of them, so I can't comment on the rest beyond 5. But that's very cool. I'm enjoying it. And they're short, 15 minutes more or less.
17
on
at the
average.
max. Yeah, it's really.
Yeah, short.
They're getting in. They're getting out. They tell the story. Hope you enjoy. Let's keep going.
They don't drag out, so you can probably watch this in a couple hours sitting. Really, if you dedicate your time.
You can burn it in a day.
Easily. Yeah, you can watch 4 episodes in an hour. So whatever.
Yeah.
But very cool. I actually enjoy it. And that step up from last season. So I'm glad I've been catching up on that one. But let's get into the nuggets. A lot of interesting stuff. And I'll start with the big news, which is not quite big. Maybe potential. It's potential. But there's a lot of rumors going on. We talked about Adam Driver last week with him, the rumors or whatever, him being cast as Mr. Fantastic, of course. And now comes reports. Not from the big sources. It's the only thing that gives me a pause. But it's been thrown out there that Margo Robbie has been apparently rumored to be.
You know what?
The role of Sue Storm.
For a long time, there was an idea that the Invisible Woman was supposed to be one of the most beautiful, if not the most beautiful woman in the Marvel Heroverse. So, getting Margo Robbie is a big step in that direction.
I love Margo. I love
that woman. Is stunning.
I love Margo Robbie. And she, beautiful, all that, great actress. She does it all. She's great. It would be a huge win. Like I said, this has less validity than the Adam Driver story, but it's possible, and it's good for us to kind of like, if this was true, I think that's a huge win. She's legit. She's a legit good actress, man. She really is.
We talked about Adam Driver coming in, which at first, I was like, I could kind of see it. The more I've been sitting on it, I kind of like him more and more and more, just because I'm thinking about sort of that awkward sort of like, I don't know how to behave around people, and seeing him as Reed would be sort of that, like when Reed is not talking science, he's sort of a little bit uncomfortable in his own skin at this part of his life. I think it'd be fun to see. But who I saw online was brought up as an option. I was like, oh man, that's really good. The dude who plays Lucifer in this TV series Lucifer, I kind of like that too. But a little too handsome, but I kind of like it.
I like him, and the show is whatever. He's great in the show. He's great in the show.
He's great. But like the show is, you're right. But he's
personified,
great.
Right? But I haven't seen him anything else, so I don't know. Adam Driver, we've seen him do a bunch of roles, so I know Adam Driver can hit this out of the park. I have no question. I like Adam Driver. Interesting choice. You're right. I think he may be a little bit too good looking.
Right. That's my old
Yeah, like
Mamoa.
Adam Driver's not. He's whatever. I don't think he's like a great looking guy. He's a normal guy, right? He's fine. But
Well, there's a lot of women who are into his weird
sure,
oblong.
yeah.
He has almost what I call male Lois Griffin face. He's got an oblong with sort of like a very triangular big nose, but it works for him.
No,
So it's
but he doesn't. He's not your classic handsome lead.
no, not at
Yeah,
all.
I like
But
the guy
that's
from Lucifer. Obviously, is
kind
a
of
different story, but yeah.
so. If I found out that dude happened to be a super scientist, I'd be like, yeah, that makes
That makes
sense.
sense.
Look
Yeah,
at him.
of course, with the glasses on him.
He's the most handsome super scientist. That's easy. That would be the whole
It
thing.
happens, but
So
but Margo Robbie, as if it's just Adam Driver having someone like her, kind of good juxtaposition between someone who's someone who's gorgeous, that
right.
makes sense. And you're right, Sue Storm is, by all accounts, supposed to be like Jessica Alba was great looking. When she had the role, she was terrible in it, but she's good looking.
Well, listen. Here's the thing. Because I'm currently dating right now, I've learned that there's this type of person called a sapiosexual, which is people are attracted to the mind. If it's a woman a sapiosexual, and it doesn't matter what he looks like, Reed Richards is the tops. So you win.
Fair point. But so let's see what they do. I mean, let's see. And I also heard this has no credence. I'll mention it because we're talking about it, but I've heard the name Mila Kunis is the thing. Have you heard that?
That was never true.
That was never true, right? It was. Like I said, there's no credence to it at all.
Look, here's the thing that you got to remember.
Really thought that was going to be true is out of their mind.
Okay, so yeah, because here's the thing, and this is why I know it's not true. Okay, Ben Grimm, the Thing. He has three attributes that make him work as a character. Number one, he is a test pilot, which means he's fearless. Because if you're a test pilot, you're going to do things that there's got like a 30% success rate to make it through. So you got to not be scared. So he's fearless. Number two, he is Reed Richards' best friend since childhood. So that means this dude is loyal. It's not about what's cool. It's about what's right and what's good. And that's why they get along, because he knows Reed deep down is a really good dude. Not deep down because he's a good dude. Or sometimes he lets his ego and his fixation on knowledge get in the way. But overall, Reed's a good dude. Ben sees that, and that's it. And number three, and this is really important, Ben Grimm is Jewish. And you're gonna have to. So you want to, if this is gonna be not only technically Marvel's first Jewish character before Magneto got retconned to being a Holocaust survivor, you want to make sure that you're gonna get this guy right, because Stan Lee and Jack Kirby Jewish, and so also Stan Lee is Jewish, and that was something that really made a point of like representation for Jewish people in the 60s, which when it wasn't not a great time for them, in case you don't know what history is like. So you want to make sure that when you do this, you want to represent all those things. Now, if there was like, this is the 27th Jewish Marvel character on screen, maybe you could play a little loosey-goosey. But right now, we haven't even gotten Magneto in the Marvel verse yet.
No, you're
so
right.
you want to make sure you nail this one here.
We talk about representation all the time. We're finally getting our verge finally, right? Jewish has have an equal claim as we do as far as being lack of representation. So, but you're right. But that don't mean that's ridiculous. That's not gonna happen. If that happens, I'll be very upset.
Now, I'll tell you what.
Awful.
When I heard about that, I go, I could very easily see Mila Kunis paint Alicia Masters, which is Ben Grimm's blind girlfriend.
Oh,
I could see her do that. Easy.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense. I'm fine with that. She's not she's an ancillary character for the most part. But yeah, I think no chance. Fuck that. That's not, no, absolutely not. So that would be a disaster. But that was funny. That was thrown around. But Margo Robbie is great. And like I said, that's just pure rumor. The Adam Driver has a lot more weight behind it than this. But if it does happen, and it'll make her one of the few if it's true, DC Marvel stars, as far as doing both of comic.
Because Michael Keaton on the Rushmore of
Michael Keaton, who's done technically maybe all three.
He did left, right, in the middle.
Yeah, he's done the Sony, DC, and so we have Lawrence Fishburne in both.
Lawrence Fishburne, yeah, right.
He was on board. I know there's Russell Crowe's also been in both.
Technically, you're right. Yeah,
he was Zeus and Thor.
Zeus, and he was Jor-El's father. Yeah, Jor-El.
Yeah, so he's been. There may be someone else I'm missing, but I don't know. With Jared Leto in MCU? No, I don't think he was.
No, he was. Well, technically Morbius, but technically
no, he's on Sony and DC, so he's done two.
Fair.
That's fair. So he's done two out of the three majors. So,
Fair.
But yeah, Margo Robbie will be the exclusive club membership of the two-star. all by himself in his own suite as Michael Keaton. Uh, you're making a case for Mount Rushmore. I don't tell you. You're right. I'm gonna have to agree with you there. This next one up here, someone who's not in the Mount Rushmore. I don't think he ever would be, but I do like the guy, and that's Jason Momoa. So basically, Jason Momoa, they were talking to him recently, obviously Aquaman 2 and all that. And apparently
and not Fast X? Weird. Okay.
Well, I take it back. He's the other guy's done 2. Now he's gonna do a Marvel and DC with Fast X. That's your Marvel movie. So well, you know what?
Yeah, Fast X is not Marvel. It's Universal. It doesn't count. It's
still Marvel. Wrong. When you see the movie, you see Marvel come up. Y'all know what I'm saying. Look at those trailers.
Not superhero. It's super bro.
Fair enough. He's still super. But so he apparently talking to him, and he had. Someone he was writing with, I forgot who the co-writer was, but they were doing their own treatment of Aquaman 2 before, they went with their script that they have currently, or whatever the case is. So he had a 50-page draft done thus far at the time. He turned into Warner Brothers, and Warner Brothers just kept it. Nothing ever happened to it, and he was kind of a little bit bothered by it. And it goes two things here, because, listen, everybody thinks... Just because you start a film doesn't mean you can write those things, right? Stay in your lane, number one, right? Everyone got the great idea and all that, but I'll give Mamoa the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he had something great, a great idea. I think Ezra Miller tried to do the same thing with Flash.
Yeah, but it's involved him getting kids before they were legal age. It's a whole weird
it's not the
thing.
Flash we wanted to see.
Yeah, he meets somebody, goes back in time to meet them before they were 18. It's weird.
It's a weird thing.
It's a really weird.
But he was quoted as far as what he was.
I'm sorry. They go back in time.
I
was being presumptive with the pronouns. I apologize.
So, shame on you. So basically, his treatment was, and not can really understand why one of the birds said, "Yeah, thanks, but no thanks." So, so he was saying here, a lot of it has to deal with me talking to the UN about what's happening with the melting ice caps. Mamoa said to Variety, "There's no far-off galaxy coming to destroy us or aliens from another place. It's just us ruining our planet. We need to get it together and save our home." Get the fuck out of here with that nonsense. Nobody wants to see Aquaman having a political discussion with the UN as far as our own involvement and global warming or whatever. Nonsense.
Here's the thing.
Not Aquaman.
Here's the thing, Jose.
God.
Here's the thing. This is clearly Jason Momoa watched Civil War and Black Panther and goes, "I'm a king of a country. I need to talk to the UN. This is clearly what I need to do. Do we have vibranium? No, Namor does. Am I Namor? No, you're Aquaman. Okay, polar ice caps. Polar ice caps are a danger." Now, here's what you could have done. You could have done a thing where Aquaman talks to the UN about the polar ice caps, and they explain that his nation only affects what is below a certain meter of water. And so since the polar ice caps are above that, they don't count, which is a complete bullshit argument. But it's the UN and governments, so why not? And so I have that. And then, but here's the kicker. Because the polar ice caps are melting, like an ancient kaiju is released out of it. And it's both water and on land. And they're like, "Aquaman, we need your help." And he's like, "Meh," like whatever the underwater version of Good Ear Middle Finger is like, "Take this." Like there's a weird fin thing. And he's like, "We're not going to do it." And they have to plead. And then it attacks. It has like a herald, or not even a herald. That'd be weird because that's kind of like Galactus. But let's say it's multiplying. It splits into two. So now there's one underwater, and like now we have to team up because they're now both of our forces. And then the irony is they beat it with pollution.
I'll say this, and I want to be fair, Jason Momoa. Maybe that was his plan in the next 50 pages of the script. Maybe, I don't know. You want to give it the first 50? Maybe. But yeah.
Show, don't tell. Show us a shadow kaiju, or else no one knows.
That's just what a bad idea. I mean, come on, Jason. Come on. I don't like Jason Momoa. I do, but stop it.
And polar ice caps melting is a real problem. We should be addressed, but not an Aquaman movie, because I don't know if you saw the last Aquaman movie, but that shit was bananas. Yeah, so you're not going to put real world issues in that.
And nor should they, as far as I'm concerned, right? Aquaman is its own. No, it doesn't work. Sorry. It just. No, Jason Momoa should not be the face of global warming. Whatever.
In the middle, imagine how weird it would be. In the middle of Iron Man 1, you had Iron Man trying to fight his brother for the throne. You had Black Manta trying to kill Aquaman for killing his dad. And you had Aquaman not wanting to be king because he's not responsible. He doesn't believe he belongs to Atlantis. And on top of all that, they start talking about immigration reform. Like, that would be a really weird way to put that. I mean, all three of those could be looped into immigration reform. It just didn't belong in that movie because there was so much going on. So understand the world you're in. All right.
Yeah, just God, yeah, he's disappointed it didn't make it through. Okay, dude. It's very obvious why it didn't go through. You should have known better. Be an actor. You can do good in that. Just leave the writing to others.
Find good writers and then boast that you recruited them. And that's all you got to do. It's like a producer position. Exactly. You just say, look who I hired to make it awesome.
Okay, we shared ideas. He bounced back and whatever, right? This is the treatment that they have. But speaking of writing, I found a nugget of the day. And this is an interesting one because Blade, a movie which, God, I was thinking about this was announced back in 2018, I think.
19.
So it's been 4 years. And they even haven't sniffed production of this fucking film. And it's going to be probably...
I thought they got the writer and the director all locked in. They were supposed to go into pre-production.
They did. They had issues because obviously with the whole... The first script was terrible. Mahershala Ali didn't like what was being done with it. It was really bad. So they brought in someone else to fix it up and let's get back on track. New director. Oh, we're back on track. Fine.
Possibly a lot of Victoria Alonso. Like, we'll cut corners here, there, and the other. Possibly. Who knows? Right.
The table stuff. We need to know about that. But... recently, it was announced that there's yet another writer who had to be brought in to rewrite the script. And how much of it, I don't know. But he's going to get, when I read, he was going to get writer's credit, which means it's a significant portion of the thing.
Right.
This was slated to start filming this month. Yeah, no. If you're getting a rewrite, that's not going to happen. It's just not.
Especially with the writer's strike going on.
Right.
I don't know how you do
which leads, right, to now there's a writer's strike. So whether... if the writer's strike had not gone through or whatever, this would not have started at the end of the month. It just wouldn't. You can't bring a writer in and all of a sudden in 3 weeks here it is. It's not how it works. Right?
Dude, even Kathleen Kennedy gave Stephen Knight 6 weeks.
Exactly.
You need like 6 weeks to do a treatment. So
you can do a treatment, but if he's, like I said, I don't know why. It's extensive enough that he's getting credit. Last time we saw something like that happen was with Joss Whedon, and look at that turned out. With the Justice League anyway. So I don't know. They brought in a guy, Nick Pizzolatto, who did creative True Detective. I don't like True Detective. At least the first season.
I like True Detective a lot too.
Yeah, 2 was 3 was good. Who also happened to have Mahershala Ali in it. So they're familiar with each other. So that's good. I like that. But here we go again. So obviously, when I brought the last writer, it didn't work, and it just seems that they can't crack the code of this film. You know what I'm saying? And that's concerning. You know,
unfortunately. A good Blade movie has been done already. And it was the very first Blade with Wesley Snipes when they did not give a crap about Blade's comic book origins. In the comics, he wasn't a half vampire. He was a dude who killed vampires because a vampire, Deacon Frost, killed his mom. Mm-hmm. Making him a half vampire was just for the movie because they wanted it to be awesome. So
which is great. It's a great idea, though.
It is literally $1 million idea.
It's a great way.
A Daywalker. Yeah. No one's ever heard of it. Everyone's like, "This is awesome."
That's a great example of taking a source material and changing it for the better, right? And if people's complain, don't change. No, you can change as long as it's good.
If you have a way better idea,
right?
Elevate the material. I have no problem elevating.
And it was a great idea. Jeez. At first I thought he was a Daywalker. I did learn later on he wasn't, but at first I just thought that was in the comics. That's what he was, right?
Right.
So when I found out it wasn't, oh man, that's a really good change. So
that's a huge change.
It makes it better. So much better.
It's as big. It is as big $1 million idea as the Matrix situations. Well, it's like, oh, that's just the idea sounds awesome. What are we going to do with that? And they, successes and failures, but the idea itself is great. So you have to lean into what the mentality of like what would make a good Blade movie. And Blade is one of those characters where as long as the idea is better than the source material, I think we'll let you get away with that.
No, that's
because
fine. No, absolutely. Yeah, if you're gonna change it for the better, right? Obviously, I don't care. I don't mind any changes as long as it.
And Marvel has shown a willingness to change source material, i.e., Eternals and Moon Knight. They changed, or Miss Marvel. A lot of that is not exactly the way it is in the comics, but they took a swing at something they thought would be more dynamic on TV or in a movie structure. So take a swing. Don't be scared of it, and really just remember, Blade, and for the most part, is just the coolest superficial character you're ever going to see. You have your stands, your hardcore fans of Blade who love the minutiae, but in general, people just want to see a cool-looking black dude kill vampires in the most kung fu way possible and being a badass the whole time through. As long as you're doing that, man,
It's I don't think it's a harsh problem with the crowd. I just don't know what's going on. This will be the third writer we've gotten in a year, and that's not good. I'm concerned about what we're gonna get with this film. I really am, dude. And I mean, the writer's strike may be a blessing for this film. It may be because if they were actually gonna rush through production in May, man, that would have been absolutely.
What if Marvel purposely held out to give them more buffer time?
It's like, look, let's not agree to pay anybody here. Cheap fucks. But maybe I don't know, cause man, this is bad. Obviously, we know this is gonna get delayed. This just because just forget the writer strike alone is gonna cause this to be delayed. God knows how long this lasts, but it's gonna get delayed no matter what. So this is not coming.
But you know what? I got to tell you, real talk. We were just talking about the problem with Marvel recently was through Ike Perlmutter's or whoever was running Disney at the time. His whole thing about oversaturated. We got to produce so much. If these get delayed, I'm actually kind of cool with that. Give me a reason to anticipate.
This may be a good thing in terms of Marvel. Now everything else just sucks, but for Marvel,
yeah,
this may not be a bad thing. But yeah, right. But I did hear that they were writing a script where Blade was going to go up to the Union and partner up with Jason Momoa's Aquaman and do a crossover. I figured DC and Marvel together to stop global warming. I thought would have been a fantastic idea. So that's unfortunate.
By the way, I read a couple of people say don't pitch things online because since there's a writer's strike, producers are scouring all the YouTube and podcasts and hearing people's pitches. But I got to say, I've heard this pitch before. I actually thought of this pitch, something tangential to this pitch before. Remember that movie that was based off the comic 30 Days of Night?
Yeah.
What if you did a reverse horror movie where there was a 30 Days of Night town, but Blade showed up?
That'd be kind of cool.
Wouldn't that be fucking awesome? Where he is the monster?
That's cool. That's an interesting idea.
Right? But I mean, it's right there. You're looking at it.
Right. Writer's strike be damned. The material is there. Just ask Jason Moore. Jason Moore and Ezra Miller will write together. Don't worry about that.
And because
they have experience writing clearly.
An ice town, you could say like, "Oh no, the polar ice caps are melting." So now we gotta
you tie it in. You know,
works out, man.
On the 29th day or night, he's at the UN.
That's it.
Come on, bro. It's cold. Call J.J. Abrams. He'll do it. At least to start off anyway. But that being said, it's going to be a shorter show today. Them's are the nuggets. Eric, another interesting week in geek news.
Yes, it was, sir. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you, everybody, for joining us as we talk about all the nerdy, geeky things we like. Don't forget to like and subscribe us on the channel, the Latin Nerd Network, where you have such shows as Nerdsplaining, as The Watch List, and Thanos' Choice, and other shows coming up. I promise we just got so much stuff working on, such as my book, Danger Squad. Go to dangersquad.com. Look it up. If you can donate, we appreciate it. We're building up. We're just about to wrap up Chapter 2. We start working on Chapter 3. And then when Chapter 3 is done, we'll start having some more announcements. But, we got to gradually put stuff together. But if you want to see what the book would be roughly more or less like, go check out that website. Also, if you want to follow social media, go to @NerdsplainingPod on Instagram and @Nerdsplaining _ on Twitter. Ask us your questions. Let us know what you thought about the show, what questions you want to talk about, what questions you have to our answers. Let us know what you thought about those things as well, which is super duper awesome as well. And don't forget, if you want to listen to the original audio episodes, go to ericdasilva.com, ERICDASILVA. You can listen to all the original audio episodes there. And while you're there, you can pick up my album, Adorably Offensive. It is a great comedy album for you to listen to yourself or give to someone that you don't like so they can be laughing, going, "Oh, I can't believe that my enemy made me laugh, had a good time," and really confuse the lines of where good and bad is between people. I think that's a way to go things about it. But anyway, guys, I have been Eric Da Silva. This has been Jose Romero. We have been Nerdsplaining. And if you don't know, now you know.
Bam.
Boom.